Oh my gosh, I clicked all the wrong buttons. I'm so excited. We've got some breaking news, exciting stuff. We are so happy that we get to talk about um, the 2020 election now. YouTube has opened the door, and it's very interesting. They opened the door, and then all of this information is coming out. So we're going to bring Johnny back on right after this and talk about that, and some interesting stuff with Gary Gensler is coming out. So lots of news today. We'll try to get in as much as we can quickly. So give us a like, share the video. We'll be right back right after this. Oh man, Johnny, I'm so excited. I got a little click happy with my StreamYard, my streaming stuff. Um, I don't even know where to start. I don't know if we should do election stuff first or Gensler stuff first. But was it a week ago or so? They kind of released the hounds on Twitter and told everybody they could talk about um, the election stuff, which I thought was interesting, and I wondered their motivation for that. Why they were going to allow that. And I think some of it is to cover up that the movie is coming out soon. It's my understanding this movie is coming out on July 4th. And so they're going to release like a preview this weekend, I believe. This will be huge and have affect a lot of people and affect and a lot of it ties back to Ukraine, and they have proof of all of that stuff. So I think that's what's they're trying to make some noise. They're like, oh no, it's fine. You can talk about the election now.
I love that you said release the hounds. That's when I let my dogs out. I go, release the hounds.
Release the hounds. And you have hounds, yeah.
I have hounds. That's why I say it.
Yeah. So this Kanakoa the Great, I shared this on Twitter, but I also posted it on the Team Mighty Telegram. If you guys, there's a link in the description. If you're watching this on YouTube or on another channel, if you look in the description, you can join the Telegram group. It's free, and I post a lot of research and different stuff I find on there. This is a interview with these two, Catherine Engelbright and Greg Phillips. They had a group of researchers to get together to let them know how the FBI headquarters had betrayed them and were threatening to turn them over to the CCP. They had found that this database with all of the election workers of America, all of their names, information, their bank accounts, where they lived, including the names of their children. And they knew they were the names of their children because they were in all capital letters. How creepy is this? And it actually was more than just the election workers. It was, I can't remember how many he said, over 1 million Americans, this database. And it was being stored on Chinese servers. And they went through all this information, and once they found this information, they went to the FBI with it, and they went to turn it over to them. And there were these two ladies in the FBI that said, well, we think maybe you guys are doing something wrong. And then it ended up flipping on its head and put them in a lot of danger. Anyway, this is all coming out that it's not just Americans' information. And it goes back to the Votum election machines, and somebody that sits on the board for the elections is at like DHS and Votum, some connection with that. I can't remember all the details. You have to go back and watch the video, but it's very, very concerning about this Konix storage of American election data on Chinese servers. So it's all out there now.
And they're going to distract us at their highest level right now. That's, whenever stuff's out there, they seek to distract whatever they can do to get our minds off of things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and part of that is because this
Ray will now send a document claiming President Biden was involved in a bribery scheme to Capitol Hill. That comes after Oversight Committee Chair James Comer threatened to hold the FBI in contempt of Congress. Lawmakers from both parties are expected to review the material on Monday. The document supposedly details a $5 million criminal plot involving Biden during his vice presidency and a foreign national. One thing on the subpoena.
So that was interesting. And here's his response.
The bribery allegation, Congresswoman Nancy Mace says there's damning evidence in the FBI file that you sold out the country. Do you have a response to the congressional Republicans?
Where's the money? I'm joking.
Mr. President.
Where's the money? That's his response. Such a piece of, you know what?
That's why that's why you're seeing news about that Trump indictment. That might keep your eyes off of the real criminal and let's indict Trump. I don't even know, what were they supposedly indicting him for this time? What was the
I think it was more documents that he had, which, I mean, he's a president. He can disclose whatever or declassify any documents that he wants. But I hadn't looked into it because I just knew it was more, BS.
Yeah. That's the thing with a lot of that stuff. It's such BS that you don't even want to look into.
Yeah. This was another thing I wanted to make sure everybody knew about. Both sides of the aisle do not like what Gary's doing. So this is one thing. We know that the SEC has recently sued Coinbase. They were freezing assets in Binance. And this is really where, we brought up the REINS Act and how that's really a positive thing that Margaret and Roy Chip are doing. Margaret out of Wyoming. And I'm sorry that I can never remember her last name.
Wait, Cynthia Loomis?
No. It's another one.
Gotcha.
But it's the REINS Act, and it's reining them back in. It's holding Congress accountable for for neglecting their duties and putting their duties onto these three-letter agencies to regulate people instead of Congress creating laws for people to follow. Because that's part of the crypto industry's issue, is that there have been no laws to follow. It's been this, they put it in SEC and FTC's hands, and then they won't create regulations, and then they go, well, just come at me, bro, and then they swap people.
Like we said yesterday, it's like there's no posted speed limit.
Yes,
and then there's no, you could be going 70 miles an hour, and it's like they don't pull you over, but then you could be going 25. They pull you over and they say you're going too fast. It's like, well, I'm going 25 miles an hour. All the other cars are going 70 or 80. What's the speed limit? We can't tell you. Well, can I go 10 miles an hour? Maybe you'll get pulled over for that too. It's like there's no clear. There's not, without having things clear. That's anti-American. Their job is to make things clear, not to come after people. Coming after people should be an afterthought. They should make it so it's right for the good people, make it clear and concise, and then and only then, once that's established, then you can go after the bad guys. Don't go after the bad guys and then say, we just won't make anything clear. That's not right.
Right. It's not supposed to be a money-making opportunity. It's supposed to be to protect the individuals, but that's not what's going on here. So the Securities and Exchange Commission is engaged in a multi-front battle against actors in the digital assets industry this week. It filed lawsuits against Binance and Coinbase. Growing sense in Congress among former regulators that SEC Chairman Gensler has bit off more than he can chew, undermining congressional efforts that regulate, Let's see. The latest enforcement action against Coinbase is an egregious example of regulation by enforcement. Oh, you don't say, says Richie Torres, a New York Democrat. It demonstrates a complete contempt for Congress, which is the process of developing a framework for crypto regulation. Well, get off your butt, Congress. It's been how many years now?
Yeah.
So
we should have a Bitcoin ETF by now. They were supposed to do this in like a couple years ago. There's no reason they have them in other countries. Why should we not have that here? Now I'm not saying that could open the door for more manipulation, but there should still be that product available. Why there's not a Bitcoin ETF is beyond me. Oh, I know why.
well, I know why.
Yeah.
It has a lot to do with some of this stuff. Because America has been sold out, whether it's using, being able to wash money through Ukraine or being sold out to China. And now I think we're going to start seeing it. This is finally happening. I do want to clarify one story. Yesterday, I was kind of lost on the whole why they were mad at that guy for the stuff about the donation, the PGA donation, whatever. And so I think the truth is going to come out about 9/11. Because you saw Trump and the Saudi guy standing with the MAGA hats on the golf course, and they are partnered. And there's been this merger with Live, merger with Live, and I commented on they were like, oh, this guy was being insensitive. And then they were saying something about that tying in. And that was because they were saying that you shouldn't be taking monies from the Saudis because they were responsible for 9/11. And I said, oh, well, and maybe we should rethink that. Maybe when we know this. And I posted that picture from, was that from Podesta's apartment or Epstein's apartment?
Of
Baby
Georgie
Bush.
Boy.
He's playing with some Jenga on the floor with a paper airplane. And I just left it at that. So you guys can put together what you wish of that. But I think I think there's so much coming out right now. And I think, so I was also looking at, we were looking at the map of smoke. I hope everyone's safe and well. This is what by 6/9/23 at about 11 a.m., this is where the smoke will be. This is a predictive weather map kind of thing that one of our friends in the Telegram group, one of our friends in the community shared with us. And so I really appreciate that. This is where the majority of the U.S. population lives. It gets very much more sparse as you move to the west. And so by about noon on Friday, the majority of the West will kind of be covered in this smoke. And I wouldn't be surprised if there wasn't some kind of, emergency situation. Oh, I also wanted to share, I got sent a thing about Wells Fargo. It says because of emergency, we're limiting deposit or cash withdrawals. Oh,
I saw that, the $1,000. Yeah,
to $1,000 a piece. I'll show that in a sec. I wanted to bump back and say this was 3 hours ago. These are military planes. Nothing to see here. This is the National Guard. Just nothing to see there.
Here.
This is in Moscow. An ice cube with a frozen red button inside. The Patience of Russia. I'm not sure what that's about. Very interesting. This was interesting too. So our oldest daughter, sent us a picture of this a few days before this came out. This was I guess a video game or something, Diablo, and it says "Welcome to Hell, New York," and it was supposed to come out on 6/6/23, which 2 times 3 is 6. And I guess that is kind of was predicting that smoke that would take over New York on that day. That was very interesting.
So there was also, I got a report. I was looking at the like on the weather app. It shows you like the air quality index.
Oh yeah.
So then I was looking at the map going around, and I'm like, well, it's worse in certain areas. And it was really bad in the Philly area. I said, why the hell is it so bad down there? There was fires in Jackson, New Jersey.
I was sharing the wrong screen. So let me go back up and show some of these. There's the Moscow.
And I just checked on the weather app. The air quality index got worse again now than it was about 2 hours ago. So let's see.
I wonder why the air quality would be. I wonder what happened in there. What's there in that town? Are they burning something on purpose there?
I mean, and then it all that whatever it streamed to the air, I guess the current went to like the Philly. It's close to Philly. It's down in that area. It's not far from Philly, and that whole part of Pennsylvania, the air quality was like twice as bad as it was up here. Like if you look on the weather app, it says very unhealthy where I'm at. It said hazardous in that area. So it's like, well, how did those fires start right around now? It's too much coincidence. And they're like, they're all over Canada. These fires are started. They all started at the same time. I mean, come on. I mean, come on.
It's well, and we saw, my husband sent me a video of, let's see. I don't know if I can jump over and show that. There was a video of these helicopters dumping huge buckets of like liquid fire that people were sharing.
And they claim, that's how they put fires out, is to control. That was what they claim. I mean, it's insane.
Somebody needs to go back to fire school. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think that's how you put out fires, but
it's to distract. Again, I feel like it's to distract us from the Jamie Foxx thing. That's was one of my inklings, because they can point to health problems and say, oh, it's from breathing in the smoke from all that, and then kind of gets people's minds off of. A lot of people don't know about that. What happened to him, or
that story has been kept really quiet, because I think I only knew about it because of you. I think I maybe saw it once on Twitter, and then it's just been kind of really kept quiet.
Yeah. Makes sense. They're keeping it quiet. When was this from that De Niro was talking about that stuff?
This is interesting.
It's another thing. It's the result of. It's not questioning how some people got autism, how the vaccines are dangerous, if not dangerous to certain people who are more susceptible. And nobody seems to want to address that, or they say they've addressed it, and it's a closed issue, but it doesn't seem to be, because there are many people who will come out and say, no, I saw my kid change like overnight. I saw what happened, and I should have done something, and I didn't. So there's more to this than meets the eye, believe me.
Is that the experience you had, Robert? Something changed overnight?
My wife says that. I don't remember, but my child is autistic. And every kid is different. But there is something there. There's something there that people aren't addressing. And for me to get so upset here today, on the Today Show with you guys, means there's something there. That's all I wanted, was the movie to be seen. People can make their own judgment, but you must see it. And there are other films, other things that also just document and show. It's not such a simple thing.
I wonder what film he's even talking about. Or did it never come out?
It looks like it's a film about the vaccines.
He's so much younger here. So this is from years ago.
This has to be from years ago. That's
Yeah.
not what he looks like today.
Yeah.
That has to be from a while back.
This was another thing that I sent out to people. And I think I sent this to you too. Yeah. Cause you said, do you think this could be in preparation of, an emergency that they're trying to prepare so that, if there was a scare or a nuclear situation or something. But this was sent out to the Marine Corps in forces in Japan. And it's like these little emergency cards that would be like the size of a credit card with numbers to call during an emergency situation for them to keep on their person. Which I don't know how helpful that would be if like your phone went down. Like if there's an EMP, I don't know.
That was kind of like a satellite phone. I'm like, well, if no one's phone works, what are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
What are you going to keep prank calling like the 911?
Yeah.
Well, I guess we could lead into the, we need to take our health back. Let's take America back, take our health back. And there's too much just snake charming of these vaccines and all this stuff. And, a lot of people don't, they might not think it works, but they take it because they were forced to because of their job or this or that. But there's a lot of things we could proactively be doing for our health. And it's stuff that the medical industrial complex isn't going to want you to know about.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times people are like, which if you have a good doctor, again, I'm not a doctor. So this is personal experience. I'm speaking, put that disclaimer out there. So we don't get hit from YouTube or whatever.
We just talk about symptoms. Yeah. Dr. McDaniels helped me with a lot of this. Yeah.
Exactly.
Our personal experiences and symptoms.
Personal experience. But there's a lot of things that the medical industrial complex isn't going to promote or tell you about.
We don't diagnose or cure anything.
Right. Because they don't want preventative. So a big thing that I've talked about it a few times, how I'm big into like the anti-aging stuff and like longevity space. So this connects in with these things called peptides. And they're gaining some popularity, but again, you're not going to hear your doctor recommend, oh, maybe you should get on peptides. Now, there are some doctors that have these anti-aging clinics, like these fountain of youth type of clinics that are into this. So if you go to YouTube and search peptides, you will see some doctors talking about it, but it's generally not like your traditional mainstream doctors that are just feeding you all the information they get from big pharma. And the reason most of those doctors aren't going to talk about this stuff is because these peptides cannot be patented. So these peptides, there's all different peptides that do different things. So,
are they plant-based? I'm sorry.
They're actually, no, they come from a lot of them are just come from like your own like body. They're just like, they're found like in your body. And then you're like
a stem cell or
not really a stem cell, like like a big one that I'm a big believer on. Again, this is personal experience. This is not medical advice. It's called BPC 157.
Mm-hmm.
And it stands for Body Protection Compound 157. And this is for healing. And I had a bad shoulder, hurt my shoulder doing the bench press at the gym. Wasn't able to do barely anything with my shoulder. I mean, I was really having to baby it. I started taking BPC 157, healed. Now, I was taking it oral. I was taking a pretty high dose of it orally. They say you can actually inject it right into where the wound is, and you'll heal quick that way as well. I was taking it orally because if you take it orally, it's actually found in the gastric juice. That's how they found this stuff. It's one of the few peptides that is effective to take orally because it actually heals your stomach. So a lot of people that have like irritable bowel, colitis, all these different stomach ailments, it actually goes in and actually is, if you take it orally, it's really good for healing your stomach. So coincidentally, I always had stomach problems. That's why I never had them as a kid, but that's why I have to eat gluten-free and watch the dairy and all this crap. I could barely drink different types of alcohol. I only drink pure vodka because everything else bothers me, no sugar. So my stomach's been feeling a lot better on this stuff. And my shoulder healed to the point where now I'm probably 95% healed, where I started out like really behind the 8 ball. I was like, man, this is going to be
a lot of times those are like permanent injuries too.
Permanent injury.
Shoulder or something like that. Yeah.
And I've seen people that talked about this online, and they've given it to people like after surgeries to heal up quick. And they went back to their doctor, and the doctor is stunned at how much they've healed by the time they're like, what are you doing? And they're like, peptides. And they can't believe it. So there's peptides that release testosterone. There's peptides where if you're on what they call TRT, which is popular, that's testosterone replacement therapy. That's like taking like testosterone cypionate or something. So like people back in the day would say, oh, that's steroids. That's steroids. But when you're older, you take a low dose of it, a maintenance dose. And they call it TRT. But you'd want to take one of these peptides. This way your body still naturally produces.
It causes your body to naturally produce it instead of.
If you take exogenous testosterone, it'll shut down your body's ability to produce it on its own. There's peptides that do that. But the one that I feel like everybody should be on, we all can benefit from, especially anybody that's probably over 35 years old or so, right, is ones that they release growth hormone in your body.
I've heard about growth hormone.
And that depletes as you get older. So growth hormone, I've known about this forever. When I was a kid, I was studying this. I was really into supplements, but it was HGH, human growth hormone, which then that's exogenous. So you're shutting down your body's ability to produce it naturally. So these peptides, they make your body's pituitary gland release more growth hormone naturally. You don't shut down your body's natural ability to produce it. So if you go off of it, you're not going to crash. You're not getting shut down your own ability to produce it. But this makes you leaner, makes your skin better, puts more collagen in your skin, makes your hair better, your nails better, makes your muscle tone better, makes you just think a little bit sharper. And it really does make you feel younger. And this is and it also, again, this is not medical advice, but what a lot of people report is this prevents a lot of disease. So the fact that the regular medical world isn't telling us about this, they're only trying to they're trying to not cure the disease, treat. They don't want to cure anything.
It's about treatments.
Treatment. They don't want to give you something that can prevent. They never talk to you about preventative. And it's if you go to get your blood work done and you talk to your doctor, they'll be like, oh, everything's fine. And it's like if you really know how to read these lab results, you're like, well, wait a second. What about this? What about that? Like, oh, you're fine. You're fine. It's because people's levels are so bad that if you can fall with an average, and it's like, well, that's not optimal. That's not me feeling good. You're
right.
Yeah. Why?
I don't want to feel like a 50-year-old woman.
Exactly. So they're not gonna promote any of this stuff. So again, it all's health and wellness. We want to what we're going in. It's why I've always been into health, but then I got into like learning about these peptides and taking them. And I'm really a believer in taking the ones for your growth hormone. Make yourself feel young, make yourself feel good. And this, if you're firing on all cylinders, you can fight the bad guys more. You're going to have more will. You're going to have more energy. You're going to be more influential to people because they're going to say, wait a second, wow, Johnny's vibrant, or these people are vibrant. They're full of energy. They're full of youthfulness and life. What are they doing? We want to follow, so it's like lead by example kind of thing. So it's like by being healthy and feeling good, we have the energy to take on these maniacs. If we're eating bad, feeling lousy, that's what they want. They're like, yeah, take our shots, eat whatever you want, drink whatever you want. If things get really bad, the big trend now is something called Ozempic. Ozempic's for weight loss. I don't know if you've heard about that.
Yes, I actually sent a video. I watched a video. This guy, his big logo is IT, but it's like Tom Bilyeu or something like this. And he had this guy on, and I can't remember his name, but it was the most terrifying thing because the number one moneymaker for big pharma is a diabetic child. And he said, and what they're doing is they're putting these people on this Ozempic, which they said the first shot makes you addicted for life. And it's cruel. They're telling these obese people that, don't worry, it's not your fault. It's your genes. And here, take this shot. And then they're addicted for life to that. They make them, basically, it's my understanding that diabetic, and then they have to continue that shot for life.
Ozempic is medically prescribed for diabetics.
They're using it for obesity.
Mounjaro is the one that's used more for obesity, but Ozempic makes you lose weight. It's just that it's approved for diabetics, and then obviously to lose weight, it helps them. But the medical name for it's semaglutide. That's like the actual name. But this stuff makes you sick when you take it. It makes you sick. So you're taking something that makes you nauseous, makes you sick, really lowers your blood sugar.
Lowers your blood sugar.
And then, there's reports, a lot of people like, oh, they're like, yeah, you could drink alcohol on it. But then I talk to people that drank alcohol on it, and they're like, they feel awful. And it's not a healthy path to take. And this is what big pharma is pushing. People are like, why are the doctors pushing this so much? Because there's so much money in it, and it's medically approved and trade, so Pfizer, these companies are selling it to you now. Again, it's semaglutide, but they're selling it under the name Ozempic. And there's another one with a W. And then Mounjaro's the one for that's similar. It's not semaglutide exactly. That's the one that's for weight loss. But again, you can lose a lot of weight by increasing your growth hormone and taking the growth hormone peptides, which have literally zero side effects other than maybe like an injection site reaction. There's no side. You don't feel nauseous. You only have good side effects. You feel good. You feel more vibrant. You have more energy. So
are they just called human growth hormone peptides? I mean, where would you find
the names that you want to look into is Sermorelin. Sermorelin with glycine is a popular one that you can find like anti-aging clinics. That's the main one they prescribe. It's Sermorelin. You want to take Sermorelin with glycine, and then the one I'm taking now is called Ipamorelin, and Ipamorelin is mixed with CJC 1295. So it's a double peptide. There's a few others, but those
are going to have to come back and tell us more about this.
I'll come back and talk more.
And do we have to be at a clinic? You said something about a clinic prescribes it, so it's not over the counter stuff.
So I'll talk to you guys more about next week how to get it.
Okay.
you don't have to get it from a clinic. You actually can get it and like kind of like mix it up yourself, which I you know,
We can talk about it more next week.
Talk more about it next
Nana's
week.
asking one more question before you go.
Anna's
Peptides.
spot on. Peptides are large. Yeah, they're chains of amino acids. Okay. Exactly. So that's all it is. They're naturally occurring, and this is why big pharma hates these things so much. It's preventative. It's naturally occurring. They can't patent it. It's going to make you need their products less. So doctors out there are like, oh, that's scary. That sounds dangerous. It's like, well, what sounds dangerous about it? And it's like, they can't come up with anything. It's like, you know, like they don't know. So it's Nana, you're spot on with the amino acids thing, but why don't you guys do a little homework on it and come back next week with some questions, and I'll have the answers for you guys. This is something that I really believe in. I've done this for I've always been in shape and in health. I've done this for the last year, and I feel great. I feel amazing. I feel younger. I feel more youthful. I have more energy. So I want to share this with everybody, because especially this audience, because it's like you guys are the ones I want to get this info to take on these maniacs. We gotta be in fighting shape to take these people on.
Well, speaking of feeling younger and being in shape, you look great. It's your birthday tomorrow, so we want to be the first to wish you happy birthday. Thanks, and tell you thank you so much for always showing up with such great information and fighting for the community and for freedom with us. So we are just so grateful for you. So happy birthday, Johnny.
Thanks, Lisa. Thanks, guys, and I'll see you guys next week.
All right. Bye.
Later, guys.
What happens when 90% of the media is controlled or owned by 6 corporations? What happens when those same corporations are operated and controlled by a political ideology? What happens when the news is no longer free from bias? What happens when the news is no longer reliable and independent? What happens when the news is no longer trustworthy? Fact becomes fiction? Fiction becomes fact? When does news become propaganda?